Hello everyone and welcome to a book haul. This one is all ebooks and these ones are all romantic suspense. So I don't know if these are going to be romantic suspense, clean, erotic, Christian or not, I don't know. We're going to find out together. So let's go ahead and just delve right on in. We have number one, Her Deepest Fear. This is book number one in the Rosemary Run series written by Kelly Ut. Not quite sure how to say that. 2,249 ratings with a 3.58 average. And let me pull up this series on a new tab. I've been having trouble with this. There we go. Okay, it looks like there are 7 books in this series. So, okay. This is a thriller, mystery, psychological, contemporary, and crime are the genre tags. Okay. It says, Kate Brady almost had it all until a knock on her front door brought news that her beloved husband had been in a terrible accident. He was pronounced dead on the scene. Reeling from the shock and suspecting she's being followed, Kate must question everything she thinks she knows. Is she in danger? Will she find the answers she reluctantly seeks? And what will it all mean for her future? Her Deepest Fear is the first book in the Rosemary Run series of the domestic thrillers. Okay, and then it's just basically all praise for the book. Okay, moving on. I have Hopelessly Devoted by A.M. Myers. This is book number 1 in the Bayou Devils MC series, so Motorcycle Club. This has 4,201 ratings with a 4.4 average. I am filming this on November 9th, so these ratings and the average could adjust by the time you are seeing this video. The genre tags are dark, erotica, motorcycle, contemporary, and suspense. As far as the series goes, it looks like there are 8 books in this series. It says, Logan Storm Chambers is no stranger to pain. Suffering through loss after loss has left him a shell of the man he used to be. He's unable to move on, but he's learned to survive. As the VP of the Bayou Devils MC, he finds solace in the work they do to rescue people from dire situations, and it's enough to keep the lurking darkness at bay. Just barely. After being cheated on by her ex, Allison James isn't interested in dating. It's more hassle than it's worth as far as she's concerned, and she'd much rather focus on getting ahead in her career anyway. There's less of a chance of getting hurt that way. But when her mysterious neighbor barges into her life, Allison finds it hard to stay away. Allison brings a spark of light to Logan's life, and he will do whatever it takes to hang on to her. But there are some things that are just out of his hands. His past rears its ugly head, putting Allison in danger and thrusting Logan into a hell he thought he had escaped years ago. Can Logan force himself to let Allison go if it will save her life? Or will she become just another loss he has to endure? That actually sounds pretty good. Okay. Moving on, I have Guarding Savannah. This is book number 1 in the Serve and Protect series. This has 2,535 ratings with a 3.96 average. The genre tags are contemporary, mystery, erotica, and anthologies. As far as the series goes, it goes to book 3 and then there is a 3.5. Okay? The synopsis reads, criminal defense attorney Suzannah Phelps is the bane of the Frederickson Police Department. They call her the She-Rex for her habit of shredding cops in the witness box. She is currently being stalked, but she is reluctant to report it to the police, whom she half suspects of being the perpetrators of the low-level harassment. And I've got to insert right here, this bugs me, where she is a go-getter, she is powerful, obviously is what it sounds like. But the nicknames, they're all negative for her. But if it was a man doing that, they'd be like, oh, he's dominant, he's great, he's all powerful, wonderful. But yet, it's negative when a woman is that powerful and controlling in her life. Anyway, just thought I'd point that out. I've realized that just really bugs me. Detective John Quigley has always had a bit of a thing for Susanna Phelps. When he... What? Did you bring it? Did you find your toy? Oh no, this is Polly calling. Hi, Polly. Okay. When he learns of the harassment, it gives him the perfect opportunity to interact with her. They've struck sparks off each other in the courtroom, and he's determined to find out if the chemistry is just as combustible outside of work. But when the stalker ups his game, Quig knows it's not a case of disgruntled cops razzing her. It's deadly serious, and he's determined to protect her. To do that, she must pose as her boyfriend. He must pose as her boyfriend. But the closer they get, the more lines between pretense and reality blur. Okay. Moving on, I have Nowhere Safe. This is book number 1 in the Sly Temp series. I'm guessing is how that one is said. Written by Dianna Love. It has 671 ratings with a 4.12 average. Oh, there is a prequel. Okay, let me grab my phone. Let me see. Okay, so as of filming this, I am going to go ahead and get the prequel. It's 99 cents. So, yeah, I am going to do that. And then that way, whenever I'm ready to get into the series, I have the prequel to start with. Okay, so we have the prequel, which is book number 0. And then it is Nowhere Safe, which is the one I'm going to tell you about. And then there are, looks like a total of 6 books in this series. Okay, that's not including book 0. Additional genre tags, we have contemporary, mystery, thriller, and erotica. Thanks to traitor Sly Temp, Agent Josh Carrington should have died during the blown UK mission, but he didn't. Scars fade and nightmares can be managed, but he'll never forget watching an innocent woman die because she trusted him. Tempted by the best, he sticks to personal rule number 1, never mix business with pleasure. Yeah, right. That's what I'm thinking. Sly Temp sends Josh to uncover a leak in a DEA task force, a mole in league with the traitor who betrayed the UK team. A deadly shipment is bound for the US, and nothing will stop Josh from taking down this mole, blocking the shipment and nabbing the traitor, not even Trish Jackson, hard-headed sister of his #1 DEA suspect. A faceless stalker has turned Trish's life into a living nightmare and threatens to kill anyone who helps her, including Josh. The new man on her boyfriend's task force, who was planted with both unwelcome feet in the middle of her world and refuses to leave. The closer Josh gets to the twisted truth, the more he struggles to keep Trish out of harm's way and his bed. But the sultry firecracker gets under his skin like no other woman, forcing him to question everything, starting with rule number 1. Okay. Next up, I have Crossing in Time. This is book number 1 in the Between Two Evils series. And it looks like that one is a trilogy, as there are 3 books. Okay. This was written by D.L. Orton. There are 976 ratings with a 4.01 average. Additional genre tags, we have time travel, science fiction, fantasy, paranormal, and yeah, okay. The synopsis says, remember how it feels to fall in love? Race against the clock through a dystopian nightmare. Climb naked into an untested time machine, carrying only a seashell and a promise. Wake up 20 years younger on a tropical beach, buck naked and mortally wounded, with your heart in your throat. This is a journey of love, loss, and redemption that will make your pulse gallop and your palms sweat, have you laughing out loud through your tears, and leave you flush with the sublime pleasure of falling in love. Okay. Time travel, that's all I could gather from that. Okay. This next one I have is called Access, and this is book number 1 in the Alex Drake series. There are, let's see, okay, so there is, let me check and see how much the prequel is. There is a prequel called Alter Ego, so let me check on that. Okay, so I have some credits, and it's saying it will cost me 4 cents, so otherwise it would be $1.08. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and grab that for 4 cents. And it is available on Kindle Unlimited for the prequel. Hi. Okay, so, and then outside of that, outside of the prequel, there are 6 books. Okay. This was written by Lexxi James. It has 1,591 ratings with a 4-star average. Genre tags are contemporary, mystery, novella, thriller. Okay. It says, when seclusive billionaire? What's a billionaire? When seclusive billionaire Alex Drake sets his sights on Madison, obsession takes over. Unlocking his world was easy. Seducing her was inevitable. But securing her heart might be impossible. He's ready to give in to her every desire except for one. The only thing she wants, an answer to a tiny question. Why her? Okay. Next up I have Secrets in the Deep Blue Sea. This is book number 1 in the Deep Blue Sea series, written by Jeulia Hesse, I'm guessing is how that is said, and there are 4 books in this series. 45 ratings with a 4.36 average. Additional genre, there's no additional genre tags on this one. Hey, oh, I can't have you on the keyboard, baby. All right, let's hop down. Whoa! Okay. Thank you. Okay, she was stepping on my keyboard and I can't have her standing on it because it's going to wig out, so. All right, the synopsis. Will they find a treasure more valuable than gold? Lizzie Lagarde was just a teenager when her older sister disappeared without a trace from her job on a Key West beach, a tragedy none of her family has gotten over. Home from college for the summer, Lizzie jumps at the chance to take her boyfriend's place on the dive crew when he's injured working with his family's treasure salvage business. The wreck might be a lost Spanish galleon rumored to hold untold treasures and a curse. For Lizzie, the biggest curse is the forced proximity of partnering with her boyfriend's older brother, Damon Whistler. I don't know. Damon is no stranger. He's been part of the search team when Lizzie's sister disappeared. Damien is the family black sheep. He's not interested in taking over the family business, and he really shouldn't be interested in his little brother's girl. Home on an extended and long overdue leave, he's focused on his career in the Navy as a SEAL operator. Lizzie's wealthy family would never approve of their relationship, and he's not about to let his newfound attraction to her distract him from his dreams. But when new evidence is uncovered regarding Lizzie's sister, the clues point to a murderer in their midst. Then tragedy strikes again, threatening Lizzie and Damien's fragile new relationship. Do they have a chance at a future together? Meanwhile, far out at sea, a deadly hurricane is brewing. That one sounds good. Okay. Next, I have The Agent with the History. This is book number 1 in the Agents for Good series, written by Guy S. Stanton III. Okay. There are, looks like 6 books in this series. This has 196 ratings with a 3.88 average. Additional genre tags, we have mystery, Christian, thriller, and espionage. Okay. It says, it's been one long day for Lisa, and her headache is living proof of it. Most of it she blamed on the full moon outside. Things always got crazy this time of the month. But the month was exceptional. She needed sleep bad and only hoped the nightmares that haunted her would leave her alone for at least one night. They don't. She wakes up as usual, screaming, only to find out that her nightmare has just begun because she's not alone in her room. One man has been gruesomely tortured to death in a ritualistic killing. An entire police precinct has been reconstructed down to the smallest detail in an abandoned warehouse, and a mysterious stranger known only as Flint seems to be the cause of it all. It's a case that is fast turning into one big headache for Lisa Toronto, a detective for the NYPD, but it gets much worse when her past, that she's tried so hard to bury, rises up to engulf her in its golden grip once again. Lisa is ripped from the existence that she so painstakingly built for herself into a mixed-up world of intrigue, where nothing is as it seems. It's a fight to survive and to protect what she is sworn to, but will love conquer all? Will she betray her oath to be happy? Does she even have a choice anymore, or does a several thousand-year-old mystery hold enough weight in treasure to drag her down with it? Everyone wants her dead. Everyone, that is, but for the one man who is the cause of all her upheaval in the first place. He's an agent working for someone, but she doesn't know who. She only hopes he's as good as his kisses make her believe him to be. Man, I've struggled with that synopsis. Okay, let's go ahead and just move on. I have The Picture, written by Layla Reed. It looks like this one's probably a standalone. Additional genre tag is contemporary. That's it. This one has 132 ratings with a 4.41 average. It says, Taylor Harrington led a wonderful life. Her boyfriend was about to propose, and she had a successful career as a magazine journalist at Prime Magazine. In one fell swoop, all her dreams were shattered, leaving her dumbfounded a week before her 30th birthday. Ruby Harrington has carried the weight of the world on her shoulders. Believing her horrible past was her fault. Ruby spent over 50 years wondering what happened to her little brother Robbie. When Taylor, her daughter, came across a picture of the two of them, Ruby shared her deepest secret. Robbie was out there somewhere, and she had no hope of finding them. Trey Clark bought a bar in the middle of nowhere. He was content and had no plans to ever dive back into his past life as a private investigator. But when Taylor showed up at his bar pleading for his help, Trey found he couldn't say no. When Taylor insisted she come with him, and Trey knew this could only lead to heartbreak as they dig through Ruby's past, what will they discover about themselves? Will Robbie ever be found? Okay, this next one I have is Lying in Ruins, written by Jami Gray. This is book number 1 in the Fates Vultures series. And it looks like there are 4 books in this series. This has 136 ratings with a 4.01 average. Additional genre tags, we have dystopia, post-apocalyptic, science fiction, and fantasy. In a world gone to hell, better to choose the devil you know. The world didn't end in fire and explosions. Instead, after an intensifying panic of disease, food shortages, wild weather, and floundering economies, it collapsed like slow-falling dominoes, until what remained of humanity battles for survival in a harsh new reality. As a hound, Charity puts the lethal survival skills learned at an early age to use by sniffing out pivotal secrets for one of the most powerful leaders on what remains of the West Coast. Her work is deceptive, deadly, and best performed solo. But when her path crosses with a member of the notorious mercenary group known as Fates Vultures, she's faced with a less than stellar choice: join the sexy as hell Ruin in a mockery of teamwork, or waste her valuable time shaking him loose. And of ruthless arbitrators, Ruin knows well the type of carnage created by the corruption and greed of what remains of humanity. So when he rides into a brutal murder scene and discovers his friend has been taken hostage, he'll use whatever resources he can to save him, even if one of those resources is a damn hound who's clearly trouble. Trouble Ruin knows he should avoid, especially since the suspicious circumstances of Charity's involvement leaves every cell of his body skeptical and painfully aroused. But fate has other plans, especially when Ruin and Charity realize they have a common enemy. Can they set aside their distrust to achieve their mutual goal of justice and revenge? Sometimes it's better to stick with the devil you know. Okay, next up I have Crazy for You, written by Jane Fenton. It looks like this is maybe a standalone. Additional genre tags is contemporary, humor, and adventure. It says Kate would feel silly for having a crush on a fictional pirate if he wasn't standing right in front of her. After discovering that her long-term boyfriend has been cheating on her, psychologist Dr. Kate Barnes decides she's still going on their romantic Bahamas getaway, alone. Her vacation takes a turn for the weird when an eccentric bookstore owner insists Kate purchase Pirate's Treasure, claiming it's the perfect book for her. The more she reads, the harder it is to separate fiction from reality, especially when the devastating handsome Captain Blackjack swoops into her life to save her from ruffians at a bar. As they grow closer, the similarities between the book and Kate's real life become more pronounced. When the arrival of a puzzle box from one of Kate's patients launches her into a mystery that seems like it was pulled straight from the pages of Pirate's Treasure, Kate starts to wonder if her sanity is leaving her too. But when bullets start flying, the book may be Kate's only clue to solving the puzzle box and saving her life. Okay, this next one I have is Love, Lies, and Treasonous Spies. This is book number 1 in a Tenant Gentlemen's Club series, and there are 4 books in this series. This is written by Anne Shaw. It has 122 ratings with a 4.34 average. Additional genre tag is historical. It says, please note, Love, Lies, and Treasonous Spies was previously published as The Naughty Heiress, Order of the Tenant Regency Romance. This book has undergone extensive edits with new content. So, there you go. So even if you've read The Naughty Heiress, then maybe you want to, and if you enjoyed it, reread it underneath Love, Lies, and Treasonous Spies, since there's additional content. So, follow the gentlemen of the Tenant Club, an exclusive group of noblemen that investigates crimes committed by the nobility, on a rousing journey of romance, suspense, and a guaranteed happily ever after. Sir Jack Sterling is on the tail of a cagey spy. He follows a lead to a masquerade where a moonlit garden plus an inebriated heiress equals trouble to more than his investigation. Miss Rachel Farnsworth has vowed never to wed, preferring her freedom to an oppressive marriage. While at the masquerade, she steals a kiss from a masked stranger that awakens something deep inside her, a desire for true passion. Jack has no room in his volatile life for a woman, no matter how desirable she might be, until the spy threatens Rachel's life. Following a trail of deception and lies, Rachel joins Jack on his quest to reveal the identity of the traitor. Will more than their lives be in danger, or will they lose their hearts as well to each other? Next up I have My Fallen Saint. This is book number 1 in the Saints and Sinners series. This series has, looks like 4 books in this series. This is written by Jay Kenner. This has 2006 ratings with a 4.13 average. Additional genre tags are contemporary, dark, erotica. Okay. This one says, his touch is her sin. Her love is his salvation. Charismatic, confident, powerful, controlling. A brilliant investor with a Midas touch. Devlin Saint turned a modest inherited fortune into billions and now operates one of the world's foremost international philanthropic organizations. He's a man determined to help the underprivileged, to fight injustice, and to make the world a better place. And that, at least, is true. It's not, however, the full truth. Because Devlin Saint is a man with a dangerous secret, one who'll do whatever it takes to protect. And when investigative reporter Ellie Holmes turns her attention to an unsolved murder, she finds herself caught in a web of intrigue and passion as Devlin draws her closer and closer. But as the intensity and sensuality of the relationship grows, so do Ellie's suspicions, until she is no longer certain if the heat between her and Devlin is real, or only a facade he constructed to hide his dark and twisted secrets. Next up I have Go With It, written by Scarlett Finn. This is book number 1 in the Go series. This book has 239 ratings with a 3.95 average, and there are 5 books in this series. Additional genre tags, we have contemporary, mystery, and fat acceptance. It says, life can change in the blink of an eye. Moving to the city was supposed to be a fresh start for Hollow Sweeting, but it doesn't go to plan. Being tackled to the ground by a bleeding man close to death changes the course of her life. Drawn into his grifter's life of deceit and danger, the confident con man whose life she saves makes no secret of his desire to have her. Harlow resists, knowing he'll break her heart, but coercion is his life. Manipulate his trade in a battle of wills. She may not be skilled enough to triumph. Risks, crew aren't like the men Harlow's known before. When they vow to protect her, they prove they'll go to any lengths to do it, even if it means sacrificing one of their own. It says warning contains explicit language and imagery suitable only for ages 18 and over. Okay. Next up I have Hot Angel. Okay. This is book number 1 in the Hostile Operations Team, Strike Team 2, written by Lynn, Raye, Harris. This one, oh, there is a prequel. I'm going to look into that. Other than the prequel, there are 8 books. So the prequel is Hot Witness. So let me see how much that is. Hot Witness by Lynn, Raye, Harris. It's $3, but I don't have to pay anything for it because I do have reward points, so for me it was free, so great. Okay. Alright, so moving back to Hot Angel, this has 2,307 ratings with a 4.35 average. Additional genre tags, we have military fiction, contemporary, and adult. Okay. The Hostile Operations Team is a covert military black ops unit. Their motto is where none dare. HOT operators come from all branches of the military. The only criteria for membership, they must be the best of the best. She's damaged. Brooke Sullivan's carefully ordered existence is spiraling out of control. A year ago, she was violently abducted by a terrorist group and nearly killed. She's worked hard to get her life back on track, moving to a new house, changing careers, going on a couple of dates. When she witnesses a murder... Oh, Molly and Polly are running all over, so you might be hearing some bells jingling. That's Molly and Polly chasing each other. Okay. When she witnesses a murder, she's plunged into a new nightmare. And as the past threatens to repeat itself, she's not sure she'll survive this time. He's ruthless. Cade St. Rogers never forgot the beautiful girl he talked to at the wedding of his commanding officer. Now she's in trouble, and he's the one tasked with protecting her. Brooke is terrified of men like him, a black ops soldier for whom violence is a way of life, which makes falling for her a terrible idea. But that won't stop Cade from using every sensual trick he's got to make her believe anything is possible if only she wants it badly enough. Together, they're combustible. As danger draws closer, it'll take all of Cade's strength, all of Brooke's determination, to learn how to let go of the past and trust each other. But it might not be enough. To keep her safe, they may have to let her go forever. He may have to let her go forever. Okay. Next I have The Collector. This is written by Vi Carter. It is book number 1 in the Cells of Kalashov series. I'm guessing is how that's said. Could be way wrong. There are... It says 3 books, but 2 primary works, 3 total works. So it's book 1 and 2, and then there is a 2.5. So, okay, this, let's see, genre tags is dark, contemporary, crime, and erotica. She isn't mine, but that won't stop me from keeping her. My job is never easy. They fight, claw, and plead for me to let them go, but I never do. I'm the collector for Victor, a ruthless Russian mob boss. I collect every time. I never fail until Mila. And then underneath Mila, it says, I knew this day would come. Victor threatened to send his collector. He warned me I would return one way or another. That time is now. I go willingly. I don't fight or scream. I know it's pointless, but the collector breaks the rules. He doesn't take me to Victor. He keeps me for himself. Only he has no idea what he set in motion. He has no idea who I am. Now his fate is sealed along with mine. That sounds good. That sounds good. Okay. Next I have The Hands of Time, written by Irina Shapiro. This is book number 1 in the Hands of Time series, and there are... It says book 1, book 2, book 4, book 6, 6.1, 6.2, 6.3. So I don't know what happened to book 3 and book 5. I don't know. So I'm just going to leave it at that. This has 2,503 ratings with a 4.12 average. Additional genre tags are historical, time travel, fantasy, and mystery and science fiction. It says, when a young woman vanishes without a trace from a quaint fishing village on the coast of England, only one person knows the truth, but he remains silent along with the authorities to search for her in vain. Or allowing, not along with the authorities, allowing the authorities to search for her in vain. Meanwhile, Valerie Crane finds herself transported to the year 1605. Terrified and confused, she turns for help to the Whitefield brothers, who take her in and offer her a home. Both Alexander and Finley Whitfield, fall in love with the mysterious woman who shows up on their doorstep, creating a love triangle that threatens to consume them all. Valerie must make her choice, deciding between the brother who will lead her down the path of destruction or one who will give her a love she couldn't find in her own time. Next up, I have Finding Lorena. This is a time travel adventure, is what it says. Written by Michael Bartos. Looks like this is possibly a standalone. 109 ratings with a 4.35 average. Science fiction and time travel are the additional genre tags. Imagine being able to jump back in time and do it all over again. Going back to live with everything you've learned and knowing everything that's happened in the world during your lifetime. That's exactly what happens to Connor Grace, a middle-aged divorced schoolteacher who is hit by a car in downtown Charleston and wakes up as a teenager again in the late 1980s. Young again, he seeks the woman who he knows will eventually become his first love and sets out to right the wrongs of the past. As he tries to make sense of the tumultuous time he had already lived through once before, he discovers that he isn't the only one who has come back. In Finding Lorena, organized crime, Southern charm, Israeli martial arts, time travel, and self-discovery coalesce in an action-adventure love story for the ages. Well, maybe a few different ages. Okay. All right, moving on. I have Cold and Deadly, written by Toni Anderson. This is book number 1 in the Cold Justice, The Negotiators series. There are 5 books in this series. It has 3,506 ratings with a 4.39 average. Additional genre tags are contemporary, thriller, and mystery. Okay. Hostage negotiators can talk themselves out of anything, except falling in love. FBI Supervisory Special Agent Dominic Sheridan is an accomplished expert in the crisis negotiation unit. Practiced professional used to dealing with the high-stakes situations under tense conditions. Dominic is a master at manipulating people. Everyone that is, but the headstrong rookie agent bent on destroying her fledgling career. As a child, Anna Canis put her life on the line when the mob executed her father. Now someone has killed her mentor, the man who inspired her to become an FBI agent, and she's the only one who recognizes it was anything but a tragic accident. When another agent is murdered and Dominic nearly dies, it becomes obvious a serial killer is targeting the FBI. Together, Dominic and Ava search for clues in the investigation, all the while fighting a forbidden attraction that will complicate everything, especially when the predator sets their sights on Ava. Next up, I have Burning for You. This is book number 1 in the Fearless Lovers series. There are 4 books, but there is a prequel. Let me look into that. The prequel is called Staying for You. So Staying for You by, I spelled you as U-O-U. Staying for You, let's get the correct spelling there, by Alessa Kelly. And search. Okay. Hey, it's free. Okay. All right. Okay. I am having great luck with getting books for free today. All right. This has 51 ratings with a 3.88 average. Additional genre tags, we have Western and Contemporary. He's a simple farm boy at heart. She's a big city girl. Thrown together by revenge, will their explosive chemistry endure a hostile takeover? New York builder Levi Holt's soul will always be tied to his mountain home. Making time away from the big city to reconnect with his roots, he's troubled to find the family ranch under corporate threat. But after his father suddenly commits suicide, the grieving son is driven to get their land back from the ruthless businesswoman responsible by taking her hostage. Powerful CEO Carolyn Meyer will do the right thing even when it comes at a price. But she's shocked when a decisive act to protect her staff and company leads to an attempt on her life. Narrowly escaping death in upstate New York, the savvy heiress is shaken further still when she's kidnapped by a scorching hot mountain man. Desperate to prove she's been viciously framed by a common enemy, Carolyn struggles to convince Levi that the only thing she wants to lay claim to is their fiery attraction. And while Levi fights to save his heritage, he's terrified that being head over heels for this beautiful abductee will only end in heartache. Will heated passion melt away their differences to forge an everlasting difference? Okay, next up I have Sativa Sunset, a romantic suspense novel. Sativa. This is written by Jodi Smith. It looks like it's a standalone. It has 16 ratings with a 4-star average. No additional genre tags to tell you about. It says, Kayla Jordan may be super smart, but she isn't ready for someone as hot and sexy as Jace McLaurin to literally crash her boring day at the office. While Kayla is trying to decide if she can even trust Jace, she finds herself forced to make a decision that will decide her entire future. Does she pursue her dream in research or take over her family business? It isn't an easy decision, and the fact that someone is trying to kill her doesn't help. Can she trust Jace to help her find the answers, or will she lose her heart and find herself broken like she did so many years ago? Okay, this next one is Vicious. This is book number 1 in the Road Kings MC series, and there are 3 books in this series. This is written by Roma James. It has 275 ratings with a 3.88 average. Menage and novella are the additional genre tags. Okay. We've done plenty of dangerous jobs for the club, but we haven't lost sleep over a single one until her. Underneath Jake and Soren, it says, of all the tasks the president of the Road Kings has assigned to us, helping a woman cross the Canadian border doesn't stand out as high risk. If some rich girl wants to ditch her husband and flee the country, a few passports and some hard travel are no problem. We might even get lucky along the way, and then she'll be off our hands. Except the more we learn about Vanessa, the more she proves anything but a spoiled socialite looking for the next big thing. She's brave, she's determined, she's also sexy as hell, tempting enough that neither of us want to let her go. Unfortunately, we have bigger problems. It turns out that Vanessa's husband won't let her leave him, not in one piece anyway, and has the means to hunt her down. She's terrified of him and what he'll do if he finds her. But he's the one who should be afraid. Okay. Next up, I have... Okay, now these next several, I want to say... Okay, all but the very last one. So these next several are all different duets, all by the same author, I believe. Yeah. So let's just go ahead and get into it. So this first one I have is Free Fall, which is book number 1 in the Fallen Duet series, written by Abigail Davies. This one has 916 ratings with a 4.03 average. Additional genre tags are contemporary and crime and new adult. This one says, we were never meant to meet. Our paths shouldn't have crossed, and yet they did. As an undercover DEA agent, I always thought things through. I didn't take chances because I knew one misstep could have disastrous consequences until I met her, the little sister of my next target. Lola was a feisty young woman trying to claw her way out of a bad neighborhood. She was forbidden in every sense of the word, and not just because of the 16-year age gap. We were taught to expect the unexpected, but nothing could have prepared me for what was about to happen. I fell hard, I fell fast, I free-falled head first. But there was a secret I was keeping, and if revealed, it'd destroy the lives of those I'd vowed to protect. One wrong move and everything could erupt in our faces. All that remained was one question. Was she worth it? Book number 2 in this duet is called Downfall. This one has 814 ratings with a 3.99 average. And no additional genre tags compared to the first one. So this one says, life was chaotic and unpredictable, made up of a series of events, a collection of firsts. First crush, first kiss, first love. Between the murky waters, I'd found salvation, and it was all because of him, the broody alpha who appeared at the time I needed him most. He promised me things and showed me the life I could have, but all it took was one moment to destroy everything. Nothing else mattered. No one else mattered. It was him and me against the world, until it wasn't. I hadn't known just how forbidden our love was. I hadn't known I'd been tutoring his son. I hadn't known about the family he had hidden away. I hadn't known he was cheating. With me. I wish I could say I wanted to take it all back. But it'd be a lie. A blatant lie. He was my biggest downfall, but I'd never regret it. Choosing him was never an option. The question was whether he'd risk it all. Okay, next up is Defy Fate, also by Abigail Davies. This is book number 1 in the Fated Duet series. Or the Fated Duet, it's a duet. Okay. This one has 582 ratings with a 4.07 average. Additional genre tags are mental health, contemporary, high school, abuse, young adult, new adult, mental illness, and teachers. Okay. This one says, peace and pain, solace and suffering, opposites attract like magnets. They went hand in hand, just like we did. The pain of the past encompassed my soul. It was on a path to destroy me. That was, if I didn't do it myself first. I was drowning in the depths of my sorrow, trying to push through each day to get to the next, and then he showed up. There was a time when he was the only beam of light within the darkness, but he snatched that away when he left and forgot all about me. Only now he was back and standing in front of my world history class. Cade Easton was no longer the charming 16-year-old who never failed to put a smile on my face. Instead, he was my new teacher. They said there was nothing quite like your first love, that all-consuming feeling, the infatuation. It should have mattered that I was his student, but it didn't, and neither did the 8-year age gap. Age was just a number. Time which would pass us both by. Lines blurred, rules were broken, and there was nothing that could stop us. Until my past resurfaced and threatened to demolish everything we'd built. With Cade by my side, I was sure I'd conquer everything. I just hoped he'd stay there. 1,000 steps separated us, but nothing could keep us apart. Or could it? Book number 2 in the duet is called Obey Fate, and this one has 481 ratings with a 4.19 average. Let's see. Looks like it's the same genre tags as the previous one. Okay. I'd made promises I had no right to keep. I'd crossed lines I shouldn't have, and I didn't care one bit. Coming back to my hometown to teach wasn't meant to be like this. Falling head over heels for the forbidden girl shouldn't have been on the cards, but fate had other ideas. Aria was the one shining star in an otherwise dark night. She called to me like nothing else ever had, and I was hopeless to stop it, until we got caught. The game was over, our secret destroyed, and there was only one thing I could do about it. Lies came easy when I was shielding the people I loved most. Destroying myself in the process didn't matter as long as she was safe. But now the lines had been redrawn, boundaries marked permanently. I'd always protect Aria, even if it was from herself. Defying fate was simple, but I was never one to take the easy way out. One look, one touch, one kiss. That was all it would take to walk the rocky path of obeying fate. So it looks like, from what I can see from these duets, it's told in one, like the male's perspective, and then the female's, or vice versa. So it's told from one perspective and then the other perspective. So that's what it looks like. This next duet is called The Bonded Duet. Book number 1 is Torn Bond. This one has 327 ratings with a 4.23 average. Genre tags, we have contemporary, college, and new adult. This one says, she'd been unexpected, a path I hadn't thought I'd take. But once she was on my radar, there was no turning back. Being deceptive was part of my job as a DEA agent, but I'd learned how to deceive people a long time before that. I'd been deep undercover for 9 months. 9 months away from the self-made family I'd been accepted into. 9 months of losing myself in a world I'd grown up in. 9 months of forgetting who I was. But all it took was one action to springboard me back into the real world. Belle wasn't meant to walk into the club of a cartel boss. She wasn't meant to fall into my arms, literally. But she was the girl I'd known since she took her first breath. The girl who had grown into a woman people couldn't take their eyes off. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was protecting her from the evil surrounding us. I thought kissing her and getting her out of there was the only option to keep her safe. It didn't matter that her lips pressed against mine roared a fire to life within me. It didn't matter that there was a 22-year age gap. It didn't matter that she was my boss's daughter. All that mattered was that she was safe, until she wasn't. I vowed to protect her with my life. I promised she wouldn't get hurt, but I hadn't factored her feelings into it. Belle was forbidden fruit I hadn't been able to resist, and now there was no going back. Bonds weren't meant to be broken, but ours had been torn apart irrecoverably. I don't know. Anyway, book number 2 in this duet is Tied Bond. This one has 297 ratings with a 4.22 average. And no additional genre tags to tell you about that are different from the first one. So, they said true love only happened once in a lifetime, the kind that knocked you off your feet and changed you completely. At 21, I was sure I'd already had mine. My heart had been stolen, my soul captured, and my world spun on its head. I'd taken it for granted, though. Taken him for granted. It was there one moment, and the next, gone. Devastation, loss, heartbreak. Time healed all wounds. At least, that was what we were taught. But it was a lie. A lie we liked to tell ourselves so each day would feel easier than the one before. Time stood still. Memories haunted me. All I wanted was to turn back time to a place where he was beside me. A world where he existed. But it was gone. Nothing would ever be the same again. Ford has been my protector, my savior, even when I hadn't asked for it. He was the strength I'd needed, so I was determined to be exactly that for our baby. Each day was a challenge to survive, and I found myself drifting farther into myself. I allowed loneliness to consume me, but I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have let me guard down. I think that's supposed to be let my guard down, but it says me. Evil lurked in places I hadn't expected. I'd always been taught to be aware of my surroundings, but I'd failed again. Nothing could save me from the hell I was living, but one tiny seed of hope was all it took. I had to fight for what was right. I had to fight for me. I had to fight for my baby. But most of all, I had to fight for Ford. The ties that bind were infinite, and ours could never be broken. Okay, this last duet, we're not in the last book yet, but this last duet is the Burned Duet. Still written by Abigail Davies, and this book number 1 is titled Fast Burn. This has 274 ratings with a 4.04 average. Genre tags are abuse, contemporary, new adult, military, and high school. It says, strong, kind, forbidden. Guys like him didn't want girls like me, or did they? My life was a battle, one which I was losing. Each moment I struggled to keep everything on lockdown, and yet all it took was the man with the enticing eyes to draw me out. He thought he knew my secrets, but he had no idea the pain I felt, the torture I suffered, the agony I held deep down inside where no one else could see. Dancing had been my only savior, but now he was too, the Marine who knew the deepest part of my soul. The tattoo artist who turned my black and gray world into full color. The man 14 years older than me. He vowed to protect me, to shield me from the evil I encountered. But there was a dark cloud hanging over us, one which promised to rain terror. The battle had turned into a war, and there could only be one winner. All right, book number 2 in this duet is Deep Burn. This one has 239 ratings with a 4.13 average, and no additional genre tags that are different from the first one to tell you about. So this one says, broken, damaged, fractured into 1,000 tiny pieces. I'd promised to make it all better, to heal the blows she'd been dealt. But she wasn't the only one living in a nightmare. I tried to forget about my past as a Marine, but it echoed in the edges of my mind, chipping away at my sanity. The violent memories haunted me, but now so did she. So it kind of sounds like that maybe this one will have some PTSD rep. We'll see. I let my anger take over. I thought I'd gone too far and destroyed everything, but she was still there, waiting for me, waiting for us. Our pain threatened to eradicate everything around us, a roaring flame no one could extinguish. But it was nothing compared to the fire in our souls. The deepest love always burned the hottest, and ours was set to ignite an inferno. All right, the last book I have in this video is Yes and. Ish. In parentheses, ish. So, anyway, this is written by Paul Teresi. It looks like it's a standalone. There's 62 ratings with a 4.16 average. There are no genre tags listed, so I can't even tell you. Just remember, the title of this video is Romantic Suspense Haul, so all I know is it's a romantic suspense. So, Chicago is home to some of the most brilliant improvisational theaters in the world. There's one golden rule: all performers never say no, always say yes. And Lily is a brilliant comedic actress, a rising star with nothing in her way. When the anxieties from personal tragedies cripple the actress's grip with everyday life, she slips into a reclusive pattern that ultimately leaves her suffering from agoraphobia. Bordering on insanity, she now performs monologues every night in her apartment living room, in front of an audience she painted on the wall. She only hopes to return to the life she once had, as the hilariously reluctant yet heartfelt friendship she begins with Lee, a washed-up writer who moves in next door. Desperate for a creative challenge, Lee requests to Lily that he film a documentary on her journey back to live theater. Lily agrees with one condition: don't fall in love. While Lee uses Lily to showcase his own writing material, his self-serving habits evolve to push Lily to rediscover her strengths and face her fears both on and off the stage. The more Lily comes to life, the more Lee finds himself struggling with her one condition. Both their lives are changed forever in this incredible love story that journeys to the center of a performer's soul. And that is it. Those are my romantic suspense books. I got all of these ones for free. I don't know what the cost is today. When I got them, they were free. So yeah, they all sound pretty good. I'm looking forward to them. There's not one that I'm like, not quite sure on. I didn't get that vibe from any of them. So they all actually sound pretty intriguing to me. Let me know. Have you read any of these books or books from any of these authors? If you have read any of these books, let me know your thoughts. Did you like them or not? And if you do read romantic suspense, what has been your favorite romantic suspense author and or book? Talk to me in the comment section below. And until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book. And I will talk to you later.